fellow Movie Crusaders, and welcome to our brand new episode, CineMasochism. I said it right? I was so worried I was going to say it wrong. I was saying it like 4 times before we hit record. This is our brand new show. Basically, it's a stinker show. You guys, when we did Weekend Crusaders 2 years ago, we did stinker movies and stuff like that. And it was always one of the things that Brian and I found to be fun, torturous, but fun to an extent. And Brian decided we were good. We obviously came back with the Weekly Crusaders this week, and we were originally gonna do our 2 picks and then a stinker because we had to have the stinker in there. And then Brian came up with the idea of why don't we just take the stinker film and make it its own show and spend more time on it than us feeling like we're under a time limit trying to get to the other 2 movies. And I was like, you know what? If you want to have this be your baby, by all means, let's go, because it's so hard to get Brian to want to do something outside of like duo things. So he wanted to take the reins of this. So this is Brian's show. So Brian, it's your show. So you host. Take it away.
So this is our new show, CineMasochism. Basically, we just wanted to have just a little more time to really dig into these movies, have some fun, evaluating them and analyzing them and mocking them pretty much. I want to thank Sean for taking some time off of shooting Hawkeye season 2 as part of the Tracksuit Mafia.
Yes. I right when we got on, I buzzed my hair today because I was like, I'm sick and tired of growing my hair out. I've never had my hair that long before than what you guys have originally been seeing. I grew it out for a whole year. Never. I think the longest I've ever grown it out prior to that was maybe like 3-4 months. And today I was just like, I'm sick and tired of this. I'm buzzing my hair back. And then as soon as we got on camera, I go, I look like an angry soccer hooligan. And
all you need now is just have a little Eastern European or Russian accent, and you're perfect.
Well, I mean, we're on hiatus anyway because Jeremy Renner got hurt. But I mean, I shot all my scenes already, so we're good. So right. And I'm sponsored by AT&T this time out, so I mean, we're good there too.
It's a horrible product placement Marvel's doing these days.
It is, yeah. But it's not as bad as like Krispy Kreme and Power Rangers or Papa John's and Uncharted or what was the last one that we were both like, oh my god.
I think we need a product placement award for our awards next year.
We really should. If there's enough movies, that will definitely be something that we will throw on our award show.
But anyway,
which anyway, if you guys haven't seen it, our second annual Movie Crusaders award show dropped earlier this week, where we give rewards out to all these fun little categories, and then our Oscar one will be later, with our best actor, actress, But the reason why I think Brian wanted to host this so badly, and the reason why he knew that I would give him the reins, is he made that title, and he knew that I would flub that damn title every chance he got.
That's the one thing I've gotten right so far tonight. Come on.
That is very, very true. But he knew that I'd be like, no, I'm not saying that every week.
Yeah, no, CineMasochism. And why this name? Because, well, let's face it, we subject ourselves to these, most of them knowing that they're awful, but we put ourselves through it for our own entertainment and for yours. So it's going to be fun. We're just a little bit masochistic, that's all.
I think during Weekend Crusaders, it may have been 3 stinkers we watched. We were like, that wasn't that bad. Other than a lot of them were like, oh my god, this is horrible.
Yeah, that's the other reason we broke this off into its own show, is because this way we are not going to be tied to the week like the Weekly Crusaders is, so we can just pick whatever awful movies we want to talk about this particular week. This one does happen to match the week, but
AKA Brian wants to pick the most horrible, torturous shit.
Oh, I've got a list ready for
you to watch it. Yeah. I wanted to stick to the weekly thing, just so that way we could stay on task. Brian's like, no, this is my show. We're doing it this way. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
So anyway,
to kick things off,
before we start, just like with every stinker show, spoiler warning. We're going to spoil the shit out of these movies because they don't deserve to be protected. So if you guys have not seen these, still, if you want to, check them out. But we're going to spoil the shit out of this. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And to kick things off, we're going to start this show off with a notoriously awful movie that a lot of people have heard of or maybe seen the trailer for, but very few people have actually seen. And that is 2002, technically, actually 2004's Tiptoes. Or as you may know it, that one movie where Gary Oldman plays a little person. First of all, a little warning ahead of time. In the interest of not offending people, being PC, whatever, we'll refer to these people as little people. Within the movie, they do refer to themselves as dwarves. We may say dwarves sometimes. If we're quoting someone, you might hear the word midget. Don't freak out. It's quoting somebody. So, no offense meant here.
Mm-hmm.
So, Tiptoes was technically made in 2002. Premiered as a 150-minute long director's cut at Ain't It Cool News's Button-Numathon. It's a 24-hour film festival they have. Apparently went a lot of changes. Basically, the producers fired the director after that, chopped it into a 90-minute version, and it actually came out in straight to DVD on August of 2004. So there is no box office info. It's directed by Matthew Bright, who previously had directed the Red Riding Hood kind of gritty adaptation called Freeway, starring Kiefer Sutherland and Reese Witherspoon, which actually got a lot of critical acclaim. I thought it wasn't bad. But he's done nothing since this movie. Stars Matthew McConaughey, Gary Oldman, Kate Beckinsale, Peter Dinklage, and Patricia Arquette. How can you go wrong with a cast like that?
I mean, it's true,
Rotten Tomatoes, 20% critic rating. Based on only 10 reviews, that means 2 people actually liked it. 23% audience rating. I really think some of these have to be ironically, positive. Well, IMDb gives it a 4.3 out of 10, and Letterboxd averages 1.45 stars out of 3,300 ratings.
And what did you give it?
So what did I give it?
What did you give it?
Oh, it's a half a star.
Yeah, I gave it a half star as well.
I'm tempted. I was kind of wavering between that and a 1 full star, just out of pure just entertainment value of watching this train wreck. But I can't give it that kind of quality.
This movie, I had heard it's been the blunt of a joke for so long. Everyone's heard the term tiptoes, but up until about maybe 2 years ago, I didn't really get what it meant by tiptoes. I was just like, okay, I'll laugh along because everyone else is laughing and I don't get it. And then finally if someone kind of explained it to me, it might have been Brian, that Gary Oldman did a movie where he basically impersonated being a little person. And I was like, okay, well, Gary Oldman can play anything. And apparently that it was this horrible, horrible film. And I was like, and he's like, let's watch Tiptoes. And I was like, is that the Gary Oldman midget movie? And you're like, yeah. I'm like, okay. And then I was like, oh shit, Matthew McConaughey's in this? Kate Beckinsale? I was like, is Dinklage is in this? But this was pre-Elf. This was pre-Death at a Funeral. So Dinklage wasn't really a name at this point. But I mean, Matthew McConaughey was at height.
Matthew McConaughey was in the middle of his rom-com domination. It was like between like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days and Failure to Launch or something
and
like that.
Beckinsale was right after Pearl Harbor. She hadn't done Van Helsing or Underworld yet, but that was like coming right up after this. So but when this did get released though, those were there. And so it was one of those things where I was like, wow, you would think with this cast, it's like this wouldn't be that bad. I was like, and Brian's like, well, let's watch the trailer. This is hands down one of the most unironically best trailers.
First of all, let me just say, I had actually seen the trailer a few years ago, and I'm like, I had never heard of this movie with Matthew McConaughey and Gary Oldman. How did I ever hear of this movie? And I watched the trailer, and I swear to God, up until the end, and even at the end, until I looked into it, I thought it was like a Funny or Die thing. I'm like, this is not real.
It totally does come off like a spoof.
Yeah.
If you watch this trailer, check the Tiptoes trailer on YouTube. It feels like a spoof. It feels like someone is intentionally
especially
making fun
the narration.
Of it. Yes, and honestly, if you took the narration out, then it's a normal trailer. But the narrator in this, the old school, in a time where blah 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 blah. Because you all in the 80s, 90s trailers, you got that, but in 2003, 2004, like you never really got that. That was kind of over at that point. So that's why it felt like honest trailers kind of a thing, where this guy's doing the narration, and I'm like looking at Brian's like, why is there a narrator for the trailer? And then the tail end of the trailer is the cherry on the top that literally we got to the end of the trailer and it says this one line. And Brian remembers, I literally laughed out loud. Like, are you fucking kidding? I was like, okay, we're going to watch this. Because as they're going through the cast, I can't remember what they said about Beckinsale and McConaughey. I can't remember what it was. You just watched the trailer again. What did they say for Beckinsale and McConaughey?
I don't remember specifically. I don't think it really said anything about that. It basically just listed off everybody.
It was like, it was like commanding performances or something like that from that.
Oh yeah, it was command performances by Matthew McConaughey, Kate Beckinsale, Patricia Arquette. And then Gary Oldman. This is the brilliancy from Gary Oldman. What they say, Brian? in the role of a lifetime or performance of a lifetime, one of the two. But he said, and it's like one of those things. How can you say it with a straight face? It's like, oh my.
He said it so proud, so proud. In the role of a lifetime.
Yeah.
Gary Oldman, Tiptoes, and you're just like, fuck you. It's like, okay, we're gonna watch this. We're definitely gonna watch this.
And we're like, no, this is a real movie. Not only is this a real movie, this is a movie that stars 3 Oscar winners and an Emmy winner.
Yeah.
Because you got Matthew McConaughey for what? Dallas Buyers Club. You got Gary Oldman for Darkest Hour. You got Patricia Arquette one for Boyhood, I believe it was.
I think so.
And then Peter Dinklage has won multiple Emmys for Game of Thrones.
Yeah. The only one is Bechdel hasn't won anything. And,
yeah, but it's like you have this cast, and like, first of all, my first question was, why did these people do this movie? And I have to think that somebody signed, like one of them signed on, and then the other people were just like, oh, Gary Oldman, oh yeah, it's got to be good, I'll do that. Or like, oh, Matthew McConaughey and Kate Beckinsale, sure, I'll do that one. And it's like, oh.
Part of me wonders if someone dared Gary Oldman, who claims he can act anything, he can do anyone, which for the most part he can. I guarantee you there was like a party or something, and someone went, Gary, you're a great actor, you're phenomenal, you play anything, but I guarantee you cannot play a little person. And Gary was like, hold my beer. and then they were like, hey, let's do, I have no idea what this director's cut was going to be, which obviously we've not seen the light of day of it. But they're like, well, let's get McConaughey. He's hot, hot comer. We'll do like a weird kind of almost like a twins situation, because they are twins in the movie, aren't they? Aren't they?
They're
twins?
Supposed to be twins, although he's clearly 11 years older than him. But.
Yeah, who in their right mind thinks McConaughey and Gary Oldman, especially Gary Oldman in this movie?
Well, McConaughey I always thought did look kind of like a stretched out dwarf. He always has those short little arms. He kind of looks like a dwarf.
Well, it's because every time he dances, he does like the little like chicky, like he does this little thing, and it's like you look like a dancing T-Rex. Because like also in Ed TV, he does the little rooster dance kind of thing, or was it the chicken dance? Or
maybe he was the inspiration for the bubble.
Oh, fuck you. Don't bring the bubble into this. But it's he like the trailer literally, like, because that's the thing, is the trailer also makes it kind of feel like a rom-com in a way, with little people surrounding it. And that is not what this movie is. But yes, McConaughey, I almost need to go see another movie where he dances. Does he do this thing in any other movie? I don't know. But it's one of those things where it's like, I feel like they're like, well, we need to attach another name so people will want to go see, because no one's going to go see Gary Oldman just play a little person. But that's not going to catch. So let's get McConaughey. And then you and I saw an interview with Beckinsale, and they went to her and they said, hey, you want to do this movie? Gary Oldman and McConaughey are already on it. And she was like, well, shit, if they're going to be in it, then okay. And so that's how Beckinsale got onto it, exactly what she did. I think Gary Oldman got the main. They brought McConaughey in, and then Beckinsale was like, okay, sure. I don't know how they got Patricia Arquette, because she was kind of more.
Well, she's never been huge. I mean, well, the thing with Patricia Arquette in this movie, she's basically playing the same role she plays in True Romance, Alabama Worthington.
Yeah, I don't disrespect.
I mean, it's kind of same personality, honestly.
Same personality. Don't disrespect Alabama.
Although in this one, apparently her pimp Drexel got shrunk down because it's Gary Oldman again. So just saying.
That's very, very true. You did make that joke during the movie, and I laughed pretty good at that. But
the moment I realized it, I was like, oh yeah. So
yeah.
Okay. Well, let me talk about how this movie got made first.
Okay.
So apparently the director, according to this thing, says conceived of the film when he was 18 as a raucous comedy about little people fucking each other. So it's not even like he had high aspirations of this drama. It's not like Gary Oldman signed on and then like this drama got turned into this bad comedy. This was apparently his thing from the start. When he was 18, it was 30 years later. Bright's stepfather gave a copy of the script to Cops creator John Langley, who was interested in producing the movie. So it's because of the maker of Cops that this movie got made. So if that didn't scream quality right there, it is what it is.
Thanks, Cops.
Yeah. So that, again, I don't understand how this movie got made into what it is with this cast. I know that they Kate Beckinsale said she would do this movie for scale if she got to wear her lucky hat through the entire movie. And we believe it's the one little stocking cap.
Yeah, because you told me about that, and I was like, was it just on set or was it in the movie? And it was like her second or third scene in the movie, she's wearing this like I go, is that the hat? Is that the famous?
She wears another goofy hat later on, so I'm not 100% sure if that's a hat or not. But apparently she said, I'll only do the movie if I can wear my lucky hat, which is a weird thing to ask. And I would think that it's just like a funny story, but apparently it came from her. But then apparently after like 1 or 2 days of shooting, the producer saw it and goes, she can now wear that hat through the whole movie. And they got a big fight with the producers and writer. And apparently she lost. I don't know why she didn't leave the film then at that point. That's her out right there.
She should have.
She should have.
Well, I mean, honestly, if we're time out, if we're honestly looking at the one person in this movie who doesn't come off looking bad, who really is honestly putting on an earnest performance, it is Beckinsale. Beckinsale is honestly the one person in this movie that's like, I'm gonna try, because she was young, she didn't know any better.
Yeah, I mean, she was just come out of like her stuffy British movies she was doing, and she was doing like period pieces and things.
Yeah.
Then she had Pearl Harbor, but she wasn't yet in her sexy action star phase yet.
Yeah.
Van Helsing.
Like
so yeah, she was just in Pearl Harbor and Serendipity, and then this. So, but yeah, she treats it like a straight rom-com kind of thing.
I told you her attire reminded me of Neve Campbell from 3 to Tango, like the artsy, which she wasn't.
Yeah, she's supposed to be an artist, a free-spirited person.
Yeah, kind of she has that attire, stuff like that. And her first scene, or unless you're not ready to talk about the movie yet.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, her very first scene, and this is where you knew that the movie was like, what the fuck, is Matthew McConaughey comes up to her as she's painting, and they're bantering back and forth, all this kind of stuff, and then she decides that she's gonna just blow him. And he stops her, saying, "Hey, I'm running late for a party." Okay, we're not trying to we're not going to try to, demean her in any way. But I'm sorry, if Kate Beckinsale is about to fucking blow you, you don't fucking stop her. First off, you don't go, "Hey, I'm running late from a party." Then you're late. And then he was still late according to his mom. He was still late to the party. Well, if I'm going to be late, I might as well have stayed and with my girlfriend and let her finish what she was doing. That was the first part where Brian and I were like, what are you doing?
So clearly this is taking place in some surreal world where people turn down Kate Beckinsale.
Exactly, because, I mean, Kate Beckinsale's Kate Beckinsale. I mean, even if she's like, do you want to make out for a little bit? Yes. Sure.
Yeah. Whatever you want.
No, I'm not going to say no to that. I mean, even if you're Matthew McConaughey, like, come on. Get over yourself. It's Kate Beckinsale. You don't say no to even anything she wants you to do. But the funny thing about this movie is they tried so hard to make sure that, because like if you watch the trailer, like McConaughey looks like he's the lead. McConaughey looks like he's like this guy who's endearing to his family and who like is struggling through this what we're going to talk about later in the film. This situation that's happening to him, but he's going to overcome it. And honestly, McConaughey plays this like a spoiled dickhead. He's a douche through 90% of this movie. There's never, and I said this to you, I was like, is there ever been a moment in this film that you bought that Beckinsale and McConaughey even remotely liked each other? Because there was zero chemistry between them outside of just the lines on the script, but there was never a moment in this film where like, oh, they actually do love each other. No, there's never a scene in this movie that makes you feel that these two are going to make it, or let alone even belong together outside of just, oh, two pretty people kiss.
If anything, it feels like every scene's going to be the scene where they break up.
Well, because you mentioned this too. Every scene starts at a 3.
Oh man, this escalates quickly.
Go ahead, go and continue it.
This entire movie, like every scene, I swear, it started about a 3, and within, I think you said it was 6 sentences, it'd be like a 9.5.
Yeah,
it'd be like just having a conversation, and all of a sudden they're yelling at each other, or like in one case, like I remember there was a scene where they were just talking in bed. Okay, when she first finds out, okay, we're gonna get a little bit ahead in the movie, but when she first finds out that his family is dwarves, and she's worried because she's pregnant, she's worried that her child will be one, and so she's like, oh, I don't know, I'm so worried about this, and like by 6 sentences later, Matthew McConaughey is freaking out, and she's like, oh no, it's okay, it's not a big deal. I'm like, what you just
they are never at the same spot. Yeah. It's still the scene will start here because they both have to start there, and then one goes here and the other one stays here, and then the other one cools off and then the other one goes here. they're never in sync at all. Because like in that exact scene, she tells him she's pregnant. He's immediately like, oh my God, no, I don't want kids. That could be this and this. And then she's like, well, no, like it'll be fine. We'll love it. It's our baby, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, I don't want kids. I don't want this to happen. You don't know what this kid's going to go through and all this kind of stuff like that. And she's like, no, it's going to be great. And then he finally calms down. And then she's like, you should really see a therapist about your feelings about this. Like, cause this is really concerning about how you're like this. And then he's just like, what? And then she's like, but it's okay. So he's like, no. It's like, there's just like, it's a
yeah, the whole way is just like people overreact to each other, and it's not even just them, because like if you get into scenes later on with like Patricia Arquette and Peter Dinklage like starts out like this, next thing you know they're threatening to beat the shit out and shoot at the landlord, like or the motel owner.
Dinklage is a unique choice, because I mean, like I said, if it was today, first off, Dinklage would have played Gary Oldman's character, and it would have made total sense. And actually,
he should have, honestly. This was made the same year. Peter Dinklage was one of those guys. He was one of the better known little people in Hollywood, but I mean, he wasn't like getting starring roles, things like that. There was a movie, The Station Agent, which is kind of his breakout role. Was actually made the same year as this one, but it would be a couple of years before you get into like Elf and both versions of Death at a Funeral, and of course Game of Thrones, things like that. But still, I mean, I understand he's not a marquee name at this point, but you have a good actor who is a little person. Why not just make him the lead role?
But instead, you make him this sidekick character who is French
for no reason.
For no reason.
Peter Dinklage is a good actor. This is like a cartoonish French accent.
It's just a choice. He's like, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm like it's almost like he's pissed that he's in this movie. He's like, well, fuck, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to be a French bastard. They're like, okay, that's fine. And he's just like, oh, I'm French. So what do you mean? And it's like, we're like, is he being French? Is that what he's doing? Yeah. Parlez-vous. I'm like, okay, he is being French, and he's just like, I'm gonna fight everybody. It's like, oh, are you drunk? Or are you just an angry? He's
drunk on his special French morphine syrup that he mixes with whatever.
And I have like slip discs and what was it? Well, you watched something, because he's like, he has all these like injuries and like things, and like. You watch something.
Bradley in the hotel, and he's like, and he starts being in pain, and Gary Oldman's character is like, he's explaining to Patricia Arquette, he's like, he's got ulcers and back slip pain discs. And all kinds of these are just little people things. And the funny thing is, I had listened to a different podcast about this movie, where what's the comedian's name? Brad
Whitmore or something like that.
He's an actual little person. He's a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
And they had him on the podcast talking about this movie too. And he was ripping into it. It's tons of fun.
Brad Williams.
He was like, these aren't little people things. He's like, I mean, yeah, sometimes they can have like back problems that by ulcers. How is that a little person thing?
Like that's an indigestion, ulcer. That has nothing to do with him being. And it's like his character's just he's like almost bipolar, because like he'll just randomly carry around a gun, and then like what was it, like there was the scene where I know we're jumping around, but when it's a movie like this, if it pops in our head, we're fucking gonna go.
Yeah.
So Patricia Arquette and Dinklage, they stayed at this motel, and granted the motel clerk was a douche to him, but
not unjustly.
What's that?
He was justifiable though.
No, I'm talking about when they showed up.
Oh, when they showed up. Okay. Oh, yeah. We called her a prostitute.
He made a midget joke, all this kind of stuff. And so at this point, like they're like 3 hours past checkout, because they're drugged up, all this kind of stuff. And like the guy's knocking on the door, like, hey, you're past due. I'm gonna charge you an extra day. And they like go get your gun. Patricia Arquette like goes out there and like beats the dude up while Dinklage runs off, and it's like, when
they were the ones in the wrong, they were there 3 hours past, and he's trying to kick him out.
You're not the heroes of the story. You're the fucking criminals. And it's just, and then like they're at like a little person party, which also Brad was like, that is not a thing. And he just starts a fight with McConaughey and Gary Oldman's dad for like no reason.
Yeah, well, that's another one of those things where a scene will start at 3 and jump to 9.5.
Yeah, it's just a weird party, or it's not even a weird party. It's just a party with a bunch of little people, and the party's for the most part going relatively fine. And then the scene goes over to Dinklage, who's just having an argument, and like was it his dad just sitting there like, I don't know what we're fighting about, but okay. And Dinklage is going off to the point where like Oldman and like McConaughey have to like kind of give him like, hey, that is my dad. Like you need to calm. Oh, I'm angry, and then he storms off and leaves. It's like, I don't know what's the point of this character. I mean, I'm glad to see Dinklage in this movie, but there's no point. And then they kind of like try to have
I think they felt like they had to give an actual little person a major role. Honestly, I think it was.
They had his parents who were fine, and then you had the I'm not gonna know her name. You will. The Howard Stern
Bridget the midget. Stripper. That's what she calls herself, by the way.
Yeah,
she porn star who is.
Yeah, the midget porn star. I don't know what her name is.
Bridget the midget. Yeah, Bridget Powers.
Bridget the midget.
Yeah.
She plays like on again, off again girlfriend to Gary Oldman in this movie, and we will get to Gary Oldman. So if you're wondering,
we're getting to that.
We will definitely get to Gary Oldman, and I think she's got like 3 scenes in the movie, and one scene like she's trying to have sex with Gary Oldman, and then like the dude that she's hooking up with comes into that room, and then it's Gary Oldman like trying to like run away as a little person from this dude, and then a fight happens, and it's not even a good choreographed fight. Then the next scene, they're at this party, and she basically gets walked in on fucking David Alan Grier.
David Alan Grier, yeah.
It's just a random thing. And then she's like at the wedding, and then you just never see her again. And then they just kind of write her off like, oh, aren't you still with her? Like, no, we're not together anymore. And then that's it. And that's just it. She's gone. Like, she seems like a very important, vital character to this movie. And they're just like, oh, no, she's gone. And that was one thing I told Brian, like, by the end of this film, is that granted, I don't want to sit for an hour and 50 minutes watching this movie, but I was like, I feel like we should have watched that version.
2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that would have done better, because you can tell this movie has been cookie cuttered to shit.
Oh, it's been hacked up, and not by the director, hacked up by producers who don't know what they're doing. Because I remember how every scene kind of faded out, like it was waiting for TV commercials.
Yes,
like every
it 100% faded out, and then even the score over the movie sounded like a TV, like a Lifetime film, just a generic, just music overture kind of thing. It didn't feel like a real movie. But then it would jump ahead like 9 months, and then it would jump ahead like 3-6 months, and there's no transition to it. It's just like, oh shit, okay.
Well, that's just it. It's like there's a 150-minute cut out there, and instead of 9, it means they cut a full hour out of this movie. You can tell because, like you said, there's characters who show up and just kind of disappear.
There's
it's
plots that start that never go anywhere.
And honestly, the whole movie, for the most part, takes place in a very short amount of time. And then in like the last 10 minutes of the movie, there's, like you said, like 3 time jumps.
Well, yeah,
go from the wedding to the baby's born to all of a sudden she's off living. We'll get into that later, but yeah.
Yeah, and it jumps like a whole year ahead. Like they jump about almost 2 years in the last 20 minutes of the movie. But like there's this subplot, like Matthew McConaughey, I think, is like a firefighter trainer or something.
It's training firefighters. First of all, I want to say that when they show them training these firefighters, they're like out just in the park, like training firefighters. Yeah. Which also, by the way, is the same park where they have their wedding. And it's also the same park where Peter Dinklage and Rosanna and Patricia Arquette are just like getting busy in front of all the children and everybody playing in the park.
Yes, yeah, they totally get it on. They're in a bunch of kids like not even 15 feet away.
But yeah, he's training firefighters, and then when he goes to the party you were talking
about. That's what I'm about to bring up. There's a subplot here about these 2 like pretty firefighters. And Matthew McConaughey, like I said, because his character's just supposed to be a dick through this whole movie, he gets into a fight with Beckinsale. And it's not even a fight. It's just like he's just being an asshole. And then he's just like, well, I'm going to fucking, do this. And he brings these girls to the party. And you're like, oh, this is going to be a thing. This is going to blow up.
He's trying to make her jealous or make her upset or something. But no, they show up to the party. They're like, hey, there's a lot of little people here. And then they go wander off into the party.
And then that's it. Beckinsale doesn't react to it. There's no scene to it. There's no nothing that's going on, because then Dinklage starts yelling at their dad, and that overtakes the whole scene. And then they walk in on Bridget the midget, fucking David Alan Grier, and that's the party. That's it. And I was just like, so what was the whole point of these like not cheerleaders? What was the whole point of these female firefighters? Like and then you never see them again. And it's like that's the thing, is like there's just so much of this movie that you could just tell is missing. And I don't know if this longer cut would have made the movie better, but just like BVS, like the theatrical cut, where it's like, this is a heaping pile of shit. There's a good movie in there somewhere, but you have to go through so much shit to it. And then they came out with the and then they came out with the Ultimate Edition, which was a longer version, but it actually plugged in the missing points that made no sense in the theatrical cut. You're like, okay, now the story actually makes actual sense because it was cut up like crazy for the theatrical release because it was too long. And now it's like, okay, now this starts to make sense. This movie's actually not that bad. It actually makes sense. And I don't know if this 90-minute to then go to 2 hours later was really going to help that, but it definitely probably would have.
I don't think it would have made it a good movie because there's too much nonsensical stuff, even just from the look of it. But I think that it would have at least helped it have a full story. It actually felt like a full movie. At least would have done that. There was Peter Dinklage as interviewed as to why he did this movie.
Because he was young, first off.
The thing is, a lot of people, especially Iceman, because like they're like, why would you support this with Gary Oldman? And he's like, it's Gary Oldman. I'm going to act with Gary Oldman. Who cares? But apparently he says that the 150-minute version was, as he calls it, gorgeous. And he thought it was this great film. And it was like, because he didn't want to be a part of a movie that was just like, just watching little people do funny things. And so he says that this movie was more than that. It maybe had something to say about prejudices or whatever. But he says that basically once the producers cut it up, they hacked it up and ruined it and turned it into a rom-com with dwarves. So
yeah. I guarantee you in the 150-minute version, he died. I guarantee you he dies from the ulcers or whatever. He has a poetic, dramatic death.
Well, no, he's in the final scene. Well, no, actually,
no, he's not.
Actually, no. Remember, because she leaves, and then we never see him leave.
And he storms off, and you don't see him again. I guarantee you, in the longer cut, he is on his deathbed or something, and Gary Oldman has this final farewell goodbye. I guarantee you.
Yeah, because at the end, I remember because they break up at the cabin, and she says, and they're both they claim they're gonna leave, and she says, "I'm gonna leave first," and she says, "Last one out is a rotten egg" or something like that.
And that's the last time you see them both.
But then you never see him again. So we assume he left, but maybe there was more to the story. I don't know.
Yeah, I guarantee you there was a lot more to that character. Okay, I think it's time we bring up Gary Oldman.
So Gary Oldman, I like Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman's a good actor. Maybe he just wanted to stretch himself, to challenge himself to do something different. I don't know. Here's the thing. First of all, voice-wise, he's doing this weird, I guess American kind of Southern accent, but not quite the same as Matthew McConaughey's, even though they're supposed to be twins. So I'm not sure where they both grew up. It's kind of...
Yeah, they definitely don't sound alike or look alike.
But the bigger problem is they go through all this trouble to make him look like a little person when they could have just cast one. But fine, okay, you decided to cast him. But it's like they gave him a weird hump on his shoulder, which I guess maybe to help camouflage his size. I don't know.
They made him have to walk with a cane, so he was constantly
he's clearly walking around on his knees the entire movie. There's even one scene where you can see through a glass table, you can see him walking on his knees, but he's clearly walking on his knees the entire movie. Or else they have him just standing behind a bar in the corner. Everybody walks in the party, they're all moving around and stuff, and he's just over here hey.
But he looks normal size when he does that too. It's in the trailer. It's literally in the trailer. He looks normal size when he does that.
Well, the problem is, his arms are full length, full size. Regular person.
And no other little person in this movie's arms are like that.
Which is why when on the rare occasion they do switch to a shot of him running or something, they clearly use a double.
Yeah, whenever the camera's to his back, you can tell that it's not Gary Oldman.
You ever watch Lord of the Rings and you see those scenes where it's that's not them. It looks just as obvious.
Yeah, that's clearly little people pretending to be the hobbits.
It's pretty hilarious when they do that. Yeah, it's just.
Oh, you're forgetting the best part: the sofas.
The what?
The chairs, the sofas.
Oh yeah, wasn't it? Go ahead.
Okay, no, that's for you. Go. It's the best part of Gary Oldman.
There's, I think, 2 scenes where he sits down oh, you finally get to see his legs there, but that's because he's clearly they cut out a hole in a sofa and got little fake legs on top of there, where it looks like
he looks like a puppet.
It looks like a puppet.
Or honestly, the best way it looks is he looks like he's paraplegic. And that's just his legs because they look like they have no movement. They look like they're dead legs, like he's paralyzed. That's what they honest to God look like. But it literally is a almost like a Pee Wee Herman Playhouse sofa where his upper half is visible and his bottom half is under the sofa, and you just have these legs. It's so ridiculous. And and because of that, like the legs are always off to the side like this. They're never like straight. They're always like off like that. They're awkward. They're like it's just not even a normal way someone would sit in general. Like the whole thing about it is just it's just weird, and then it doesn't look right at all. And like we know why they gave him a cane. They gave him a cane so that way he could walk on his knees, and it would make sense why he would be unbalanced.
Mm-hmm.
The hump there was no reason for the hump. There was no reason for the hump, except like it's like it's almost like it's like a Hunchback of Notre Dame. They just wanted to make Gary Oldman look as ugly as fucking possible. So when the thing happens, the utterly ridiculous thing happens, which makes it even more unbelievable. Then it's just like, I called it. I fucking called it. About what was it? It was about like I think it was right after they got married. There's this moment, and like Beckinsale and Matt McConaughey just got married, and like Beckinsale, they both got in like the limo, and she looks outside and she sees Gary Oldman basically hobbling to his car, and she's like, "I'll be right back," and like she goes over to him, and she's pregnant during this wedding scene. And she's like, "I just want to thank you for everything." And he's like, "I haven't done anything." And she's like, "Oh, you know what you did," kind of thing. Which we don't know because he hasn't done anything except be nice to her. And then he makes this line. He's like, "Well, I hope my dumbass of a brother doesn't screw this up or whatever." And then she like gets down on her knees and kisses him on the mouth, and no one has a problem with that. And I'm just like, what are you doing? And then like,
it's not like a open mouth makeout kiss. So
no,
it's essentially just a peck, but it's still a kiss on the lips. Which,
and then I literally said right after that, I go, I swear to God, if they're setting this up where she ends up with Gary Oldman by the end of this movie, I'm gonna be so fucking pissed. And what happened?
Well, here's the thing. First of all, she gives him that kiss, and you're like, okay, that's weird, but some people do that, and I don't know, there'd be different families and things, especially since they're essentially she's a brother-in-law now. Some people kiss family on the lips, whatever. It's weird, but okay. But then she does it again later on, and that's when I was like, oh shit, Sean's right. That's where this is going.
Because literally, like, they get married, okay, cool. And Matthew McConaughey seems happy. Then they have their baby, because it's literally the next scene. They jump ahead. She has her baby. And you find out that it's a little person, or he's going to be a dwarf, basically, is what the words he used, which they couldn't find a dwarf baby because the baby just looks normal in every scene. That is not a dwarf baby.
No, it looked normal except when she was carrying it. It was the fakest baby.
Whenever she carried it covered, it was basically a toy baby.
She would like pick it up and just be like she's carrying a board. It was like the stiffest baby doll.
That is very, very true.
Yeah.
But like when you see the actual baby itself, it's a normal looking baby. But like Matthew McConaughey, once again, he walks into the room. The doctors, like trying to like say, okay, we're gonna give him medicine. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. And then Matthew McConaughey's just like and punches a wall. And everyone's like, "What the fuck is your problem, dude?" And he's like, "There's nothing you can do. He's just gonna be in pain for the rest of his life." And the doctor's like, "You need psychiatric help, bro." Exactly. It's just out of nowhere. And he storms out, and Beckinsale's like crying, like, "I apologize. I don't know what's going on." And then of course, Gary shows up, and he's just there. And then like the next scene jumps, and it's like we'll say 3 months, and the baby's crying, it's in pain, and Beckinsale's trying to take care of it, and Matthew McConaughey seems to know what's wrong with the baby. He's like, "This is what's wrong with the baby. We need to do this." And
he's in pain because the bones and things. Yeah,
exactly. And he seems like, oh, he's actually taking control of this. Like he knows what's going on. He's actually trying to be a good dad. And Beckinsale's kind of in over her head a little bit because she doesn't know, and he does, and it's kind of like, okay, kind of came around, like he's going fine. And then like literally the next moment, she finally gets the baby down. He's like, "I can't do this anymore. Like I'm leaving you. Like I can't be the father that he needs me to be. I can't be the father you need me to be, or the husband you need me to be. I think it's just best if I'm not here."
She's better off trying to raise it alone. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm just like, did we miss something? Because like you see, like literally like 13 seconds ago,
this isn't even different. This is the same scene.
This is the same scene, and it's like you seem like you were good 13 seconds ago, and now you're just like, "Nope, I'm gone. I'm leaving you." So which forces her to go to, I can't even remember what Gary Oldman's character's name is. I'm gonna have to look it up real quick. It's good calling him Gary Oldman. He's Rolf.
Yeah.
So giving him that name too, Rolf. Come on, bro. Like, come on, cast.
Yeah,
So,
who names their twin sons Steven and Rolf?
Yeah. Fuck off. And so he's like, he tells her during the wedding, like, he's gonna go stay at a cabin in the woods because he's a writer, all this stuff. So she forces him to take basically a newborn baby to go live with Rolf. Why she decided to go live with Rolf? Probably because, you know, he's a little person and maybe he knows how to deal with this shit. But, you know, he's also living with Dinklage and Arquette's character, which is basically party animals, which honestly we saw in a scene earlier that Rolf doesn't want to be around those two when they're together. You know, so why would they stay at the cabin together? That just makes it even more of what it is. And you start to see, like, you know, Rolf's like taking care of the babies, like, hey, I got this, you know, you go get some sleep, all this. I know what I'm doing. I'll take care of the baby. And so you're starting to see like you're like, no, there's nothing happening there.
Well,
Like,
even
Rolf's side,
that, I'm thinking like, oh, he's a good guy and he cares about her and he knows what it's like to be this little person so I'm like, he cares, he wants to help out in this child's life and things like that because it's his his
on Rolf's end, I mean, it's fucking Kate Beckinsale. She's gorgeous. Why wouldn't you? Of course, you would have feelings for her. Plus, you know, she's a mother.
But there's no indication of feelings.
But no, because even then, he even says, well, you know, you're still, you know, my brother's wife, you know, kind of thing. But you don't see any indications there. And then McConaughey shows up, like, is it like 6 months later or something like that? Like, there's been some considerable time that's passed. Yeah. And I mean, the baby's still a baby. It's not like it's a toddler walking around or anything, because once again, they'd have to find a little person, you know, toddler, which they just weren't going to do for this movie apparently. And he comes in and he's like, you know, I'm doing better. You know, I'm getting help. You know, I want to be the father that, you know, you deserve for the kid, and, you know, be the husband you deserve. Like, I'm ready to, you know, be that person. And she's like, fuck off. No, like, I don't want you here. Like, I needed you then, not now. Like, you still need to get better.
Yeah, I think
once again we go.
I think she still feels that he's not ready. I think she'd come back for like a month and be like, screw this, I'm out of here again.
Yeah, exactly. He was just like, I miss you, you know, stuff like that. And I think it was one of the things where he missed her, but he never really said he missed the baby. I think it was one of the things like he said he missed her and he loved her, but he went and said hi to the baby, but he didn't say he missed or loved the baby or something, which I think showed her that he still wasn't.
Well, and the most telling thing is when she says, no, it's better if you don't. And he just like said, okay, fine. And he's going to leave. And he doesn't say anything about, oh, I'm worried about the baby growing up. It doesn't say anything like, I'm sorry. Nothing. What he says is, what you guys must all think of me. He's still worried about himself and how people see him. It's like, you're such a douche.
Yeah, and then Rolf comes up, and, you know, he's like, he's like, you gotta stay for dinner? He's like, no, I'm gonna go back to town. And Rolf's like, are you mad at me? And he's like, no, why would I be mad at you? Nothing's going on. You're taking care of my family. I appreciate that. And then McConaughey leaves. We don't see him the rest of the movie. And then, like, the very next scene, they're hanging out outside, Beckinsale and Oldman, and they're getting this longing look at each other, and Beckinsale like goes, it's okay if you want to kiss me. And so naturally, of course, Rolf's like, fuck, okay. And they kiss, fade to black. Movie's over.
And you're like, the end of the movie. And there is no indication that either of them has any feelings for each other throughout this entire movie. Not even glances, not hints, nothing.
There's one glance. It's when Rolf got up and took the baby downstairs, and Beckinsale came down, and he told Beckinsale to go back to bed. And so she's going up the stairs, and then they leave that kind of longing look. And I'm looking at her, which it's Kate Beckinsale in a nightgown. I mean, come on.
I still never felt like he was in love with her. I thought maybe
no, that's just more just like,
yeah.
Oh man, she needs a rest. I'm trying. Like, I'll take care of this baby. Yeah. But it's not like I'm infatuatedly in love with this woman. Like that's not the look we get. We get the look like we're gonna be okay. Like, I'm gonna take care of that. Yeah. That's the look we get. And then in a span, like I said, of like 5-10 minutes, which has nothing to do with Beckinsale or Rolf at this point, it's all the McConaughey shit, and then Dinklage and Arquette fucking leaving. This romance happens, and the movie ends with them kissing, and it's not even like it's not even like a make out with tongue kind of kiss. It's just like it's a regular kiss that they already had earlier in the film, twice already at this point. and the movie just ends, and you're like, that's the fucking ending you're giving us? It's like, no, there's a movie missing out of this. Like there is a film on top of this film that we have not seen, and something is not right here, because it just starts playing the classical music, like shitty like credit ending, and we're both just sitting there like, what? What the hell is this movie? And that's Tiptoes. I mean,
Tiptoes. There are a couple more moments I need to bring up.
Well, yes, there's also his parents, which, according to Brad Williams, the comedian, they're all a different kind of dwarfism.
Yeah, the whole family is like there's like the two parents, and then there's like the different kids, because there's the twins, and there's another sister, I think. But apparently they're all different kinds of dwarfism. It's like that's not how genetics work.
Yeah, there's the one sister that honestly is not. I don't think she is a dwarf, because she seems like she's past a certain height of being a dwarf. Then you got the two girls, which honestly, I mean, yeah, they are, but I mean, they're normal. I mean, they're not, But then the dad looks like
a real little one, yeah,
really, really little, to the point where I asked you, I go, is that the one that did The Island with Dr. Moreau? Because he's that little.
It's like there's about a random cast called like, they're all little. Who cares if they're
Yeah, and then the mom just looks like a normal little person, like nothing crazy about that. Which I'm not trying to say it like that. You know what I mean? They don't have, like, the dad definitely looks like a different kind, which that's fine. But I mean, I'm just saying, like, those two together wouldn't make Matthew McConaughey and Gary Oldman. Yeah. And those sisters, like, those are all different kinds of things, which is what Brad Williams, the comedian, was saying. It was like, that's not possible. Like, that doesn't, you can't just throw all these little people, actors together and just go, you're a family. Like, no, you have to actually make this make sense, which once again just shows how inconsiderate the directors and the studios were about little people, is that they couldn't even get that right. They couldn't even respect the little people in this, which I mean, what am I saying? It's fucking Tiptoes.
Respect the little people? Come on.
Well, I'm talking about the 150-minute director's cut was probably trying to be more respectful.
Maybe.
We don't know.
Well, the funny part is that there's that director's cut, which is only ever screened the one time at that film festival, Button-Up-A-Thon. And then it was never screened again. And then when they went to, I think it was Sundance in 2004 or 2003 with the 90-minute cut, like, they still had the director come to promote it. Like, knowing that he hated their cut of it. So apparently he showed up on stage just ranting about it and destroying and criticizing the producer until they basically had to have him yanked off stage and kicked out of the place. So it's
which is probably why he's ever had an offer another job again, is because the way
and apparently the only other person who's ever seen the 150-minute cut is Nicholas Winding Refn, who is the director of Drive, of all people. He randomly happened to mention he was like a big fan of this movie. And apparently the director sent him one of the producers, I think, to send him the full director's cut of it. So
if anyone's watching this, send me the 150-minute director's cut. I will watch it again just so I can appease my own brain that there is a semblance of an actual film.
We have to find these missing jigsaw pieces and figure out what it was supposed to be.
Finish this puzzle. This is an unfinished puzzle that makes no logistical sense. And I will watch it. I'm trying to use the right word, not in a jokingly way. I will watch this respectfully and hoping that the 150-minute cut actually makes a logical film with these character developments and these plot points actually make sense. And if it does, I will get on here and I will actually go, you know what, Tiptoes, the director's cut actually is a solid film. I'm not banking on that.
Yeah, it'll still have really bad Gary Oldman trying to look like a dwarf.
Yes. But I'm telling you guys right now, if anyone has the ability to give me this cut, I will watch. Brian probably won't. He doesn't want to.
Oh, I absolutely would watch that. I would totally watch that.
Oh, well, you said you don't want to watch 2.5 hours of this. We will both sit here and watch this, and we will do a reread review. But if anyone can get us that cut, we would greatly appreciate it. But
okay,
yeah.
A couple other things. When she first is taking the pregnancy test to find out that she's pregnant, she reads the instructions on it, and it says, you pee on the stick, blah blah. 2 lines means you're knocked up.
That's right.
If your pregnancy test uses the words "knocked up,"
you and I both said
different pregnancy tests.
You and I both said almost at the exact same time. That's not a real pregnancy test. That's not supposed to say that on
there. There's that. There's also at the party we keep talking about. These people. Was it Bridget and we were having sex in the middle of like the kitchen?
Yeah, Bridget, and
it's at this party, and they get caught having sex. You mentioned that.
I don't know if it was the kitchen, but it was an all glass.
All glass, not the windows, the doors, everything was all glass room.
Everyone could see
50
him.
people standing around and they're just having sex right there, and nobody's even looking at them or thinking anything of it. It's just like it was just a weird.
No, because they weren't in the kitchen, because the kitchen was where Dinklage was having the argument.
That's right.
So it must have been like a separate room, like a dining room or something. But yeah, you could see like, because it was one of those like Oldman walked in. But like you see him walk in, but you can see everyone.
And they acted like, oh, they interrupted us. Somebody saw us having sex. Like the other 100 people already saw you.
Yes, like everyone saw. And like that's the other thing too, is like David Allen Greer's character is supposed to be like this bigwig character, but like once that scene happens, like he never pops up again.
Yeah.
Like it's like what's the point of his character except for he does this. And
the last thing I need to mention, and I'm kind of glad we saved this for last, is the quote of the movie. Is Carol, Kate Beckinsale's character, is talking to Stephen, Matthew McConaughey, and
my God, I know exactly what you're
asking if he'd ever, had sex with like a little person. And he goes, not really, just like, was his kid stuff or something like that. And I believe her response was, actually a quote here, so you had a circle jerk with a bunch of little people? I would love to see that. And she gets this smile on her face. I swear she gets turned on by this, because then she starts like getting all over him right after that.
And then, then he gets pissed off, and then he's done.
She was more happy at the thought of a little person circle jerk than she was when she found out she was pregnant.
I believe all that is in the same fucking scene.
Yeah.
I think in that whole scene, she finds out she doesn't find out, but she knows she's pregnant. She tells him he's pregnant. He says he doesn't want to have kids. He doesn't want to have that. She says it's going to be okay. Then you need help, and then this scene happened. Like I want to say it was all in the same scene that all this stuff happened, but yeah, yes, the little person circle jerk. I would love to see that. That is literally a line from this fucking movie.
Yeah, if that doesn't sum it up, I don't know what does. Yeah, this is a movie that, I mean, there's a reason it went straight to DVD. If it went to theaters, it wouldn't have done well. It would have been mocked even bigger. I think that the fact that it went straight to DVD saved careers, because I'm pretty sure that people, Matthew McConaughey and Kate Beckinsale and other people, their careers would have suffered as a result. I mean, even Gary Oldman, who
I think Gary Oldman would have been the one that would have suffered the most, because Matthew McConaughey, except for being just a giant douchebag, I think
in a way, I think it still did, because Gary Oldman, while he didn't get necessarily criticism and stuff, because like I said, it didn't really get released. I think he tried to do this thing where he thought he was going to be doing this great performance of a lifetime. And it didn't work out for him, because before this, he'd been doing a lot of prestige flicks kind of thing. And after this, he dove headfirst into franchises, into Batman, into Harry Potter, into playing.
Harry Potter was right after this.
He's like, forget this prestige shit. I'm just going to make some money now. And it was like another decade before he went back into A Darkest Hour and stuff like that. But
yeah, and then Beckinsale, I don't think this would have affected Beckinsale, because I said Beckinsale is the one that actually, for the most part, played this movie 100% straight the whole way.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was right after this, like we said, the Underworld and Van Helsing and that came out, so her career just took off. But
yeah, and Click and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so that's Tiptoes.
That is Tiptoes. Thus ends our very, very first episode of CineMasochism. I still said it right again. I'm so proud of myself. We hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you guys did, go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe button to the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos pop up on the Movie Crusaders. Of course, you're going to follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. Our first episode of the Weekly Crusaders is already out now, where we talked about what we talked about. Den of Thieves and Play It to the Bone. That's out right now. Like I said, our second annual Movie Crusaders award show is out currently. Coming up next, in terms of movies being released, is Shotgun Wedding the only thing that comes out this week?
Shotgun Wedding and You People, I believe, is also this week.
Yeah, You People on Netflix. Shotgun Wedding's on Prime. Teen Wolf the movie, which I'm a fan of Teen Wolf the TV show. They're having a movie coming out on Paramount Plus. I'm probably not going to review that because there's so many people who probably have never even watched the Teen Wolf, aka Brian here. But Shotgun Wedding, there might be a review out for. We'll also have our second episode of the Weekly Crusaders and our second episode of CineMasochism. Did you want to leave a clue to the next episode?
No, because I'm not sure we have locked down. I'm not sure what we're going to watch.
Oh, come on. I want us to watch that.
The one you suggested has surprisingly high ratings, though. I
think that's ironic. I've watched that movie. It's shit. I don't think it's good. So I guess we don't have it locked down yet. I personally think that is a perfect stinker film for us.
So we may, but we won't bother leaving a clue today. I will say, if you want to watch Tiptoes, you can watch it on Amazon Prime, or you can watch it free with ads on Vudu or on Roku channel.
But regardless of whether you guys watch the movie or not, you 100% need to go watch the trailer for Tiptoes. That is a requirement for anyone who watches us. You have to see the trailer for Tiptoes. But until next time, we are the Movie Crusaders. My name is Sean Waskerud. Guys, Brian Michaels. In case we don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.